Okay, hi, welcome.
Hello, Matt.
Hello.
My name's Troy Silas. I came to New Directions about 20 years ago. I was in bad shape when I first came to New Directions. I really had some severe, I was basically in a real dark place, and New Directions helped me so much because I had almost lost the ability to trust anybody at all, and I got through it, and I was, to give you an example, I was stuttering so bad that I could hardly be understood by people when I talked, and incessant stuttering almost, and I was using my hands all the time, like just almost like a distraction and stuff. And but when I came here, I really found people that were so loving and helping me to see that how I was reacting wasn't helping me, and helped me trust again. Helped me trust and believe that life is good, and it is, and that's.
Do you think that stuttering had to do with your childhood or emotion-based, or?
Yes, emotion-based, yes, because I had this thing, I had a defense mechanism as a child. And my defense was I wouldn't cry. My mother could hit me so many times in the face that she would show me her hands and they'd be bruised, and I wouldn't cry. And that was my defense. But the bad thing is after I finally cried, it was usually because she said something so ugly to me that basically I'm lost. Basically, the thing that happened was that it made crying or showing any emotion just awful. It was complete humiliation. And to this day, Matt, I feel like that's one of the scars that I kind of live with a little bit. And I accept it. Like sometimes when I've lost animals I love or whatever, it's just really hard for me to let myself just be okay with grieving. It's almost a painful process still. Like we recently had to put down a horse, and it was still hard. But on the brighter side, I feel, when I do feel intense, I'm okay with it, and I'm happy about it. I'm happy I can feel, period. And I'm not so shut down that I can't feel anything, and that I can be loving toward people that I love, and I can be loving toward my animals, and that's really wonderful, not to be all shut down in my heart where I can't care about anything. And I feel like New Directions has helped me understand so many things about accepting that my feelings just are. They aren't good or bad. They just are, and that's a part of me. It was a God-given gift. I was born with these feelings. So, but before I came here, I didn't think that way. I didn't think that. I was very much right and wrong, black and white thinking, and it wasn't helpful. And that's where I felt like New Directions kind of opened me up and let me just be where I was and survive. Survive, yeah.
So your judgment of your feelings was very detrimental to you, it sounds like? Unhealthy?
God, yes.
Really?
God, yes. Very much so. I wasn't accepting of them. I was just scared of my anger. And I almost associated crying with being crazy. I thought that people that cried were crazy, or that I was going crazy in my head. And a lot of times too, I didn't even know how to identify feelings at all. I couldn't identify them because my mother always made sure to tell me what I should feel and how I should feel and when I should feel. And she was very controlling, and it was very, but she didn't do it just with me, she did it with all my siblings. And it was very, it was a hard way to grow up. And I don't know, but I really feel so much better. I feel like I'm making a difference for my kids. And part of that is directly because of New Directions. I've had 2 daughters go through here, 3 altogether. And my son still hasn't gone, but I believe he'll eventually go too. And I feel like there's so much good and so much love in when New Directions is going. There's so much acceptance and love, but it isn't a pushing thing. It's where if all they can do is just sit there and just be in the room and not leave, they're accepted still. And they aren't pushed to, you have to show everything. And I think that that's a beautiful thing, because I don't think the pushing is a good way to, it isn't helpful. And so that's what, and
Well, what we found is we can tear down the walls and do confrontational, or we can allow you to let down your walls when you're ready, when you feel safer, and we try to create a safe environment on the outside so you can look at the scary stuff on the inside.
yes, and that's what you really achieve, because it makes it safe enough so that you can share something and walk away alive and feeling alive, and not judging it, taking the judgments off and just saying that's where you're at right now.
Well, the other thing that I think that allows is, if we're tearing down your walls and making it, opening you up, then that requires us. But you're doing it on your own. You're doing it at home by yourself on your own.
Risking, right, it's a risk, and I feel like, but it's a risk that has wonderful benefits, because then you aren't stuffing all this garbage inside of you and literally making yourself sick.
So you think the emotions can make you physically sick?
Yes, very much so. I think it comes out. It's kind of like an energy. It can't just sit there. It has to go someplace. It can't just stay in one place. And so like where people say, well, we have road rage. I have road rage. Okay, maybe that's displaced anger that you're going to get yourself killed or somebody else because of your road rage. And instead, when you come to New Directions, you find, oh, is that what I've been doing all these years? I've been raging on these roads, and instead I was so angry at my father, I was so angry at my mother, that's where I should have put some of that anger out at, instead of holding it inside and making myself insane, and taking it out on other people that don't deserve it.
Well, another thing that I'm hearing you say is that now that you can identify a lot better what you're feeling, then you can do something with it, express it better. Express it better,
yes. And like I said, even with the crying, it isn't like I can't cry. It's just that it's almost like a scar. That's how I look at it. I don't look at it that as, but I still feel like I'm in the process of healing. It was 20 years ago, like that, when I first came to New Directions, and I've been here since. And each time that I've come here, or even when I've assisted, I've learned many different things as far as just, and I think it's kind of like you were born, you survived your childhood, if you did, and if you survived it, you have all this time after to do some serious healing from it. And that's where I feel like, I think the process is ongoing to be, But at the same time, I feel like I have so much more to offer my own children.
I'm really happy with how it's been for you with your kids. Can you say a little bit more about how it is with the girls now? Or?
I just like, when I see things before where I would judge or say something was wrong, I just feel like I accept them more. I accept them. And it isn't just accept, it's like if I see my daughter Amy cry, to me that isn't, or if I see her angry, it isn't bad. It's just that that's where she's at right there. And there's not a judgment. Before I would have a judgment or something, like something was so wrong, or it said something about me or whatever. And now but I feel like also, it isn't just that, Matt. I feel like I have something to give. I have something to give and offer. Where before, I probably would have been very, not, more void, so to speak. Void emotionally, that's where I feel like and I feel like the kids have been able to come to me too, and what I mean by come to me is we have a real relationship where they can say, you know, Dad, you used to really scare me when you napped out, or you scared me when you know, and I can, and instead of defending myself or anything, I can say, you're right, and I can validate their reality and not turn them away, and embrace them and say, and say, I really regret that, and tell them how I feel about them, and that they did deserve to go through some of the things they went through, and that feels good, because that there is, if you have children, they're always something very, or for myself, they're always so special and so unique and wonderful beings, and I just love my kids a lot. So,
Do you think it's brought you closer?
God, yes. Yes, God, yes. Yeah, I feel, I have no doubt about that at all, that it's really made all the difference in the world. And for them too, because they can come to me. They can come to me when something's happened. And before, I think what happens is a lot of times parents somehow set a thing where, yeah, but you can't talk to me about that, or you got it, you stay over there, and it isn't like that. I feel the difference, you know, and at different times, you know, when my kids have gone triggered, they can actually call me and say, Dad, oh, I remembered this, and oh gosh, that was so hard for me, you know, every time you'd leave, and I had to stay here with Mom, or whatever. It was like, but they can come to me now, and I think that's a gift you can give them, you know. They aren't alone with it, and you also can validate their reality. And I'm saying that from my own truth of that I didn't have that with my parents. I couldn't go to them. I knew I couldn't, and I didn't. And both of my parents are gone now, so.
And so did you feel alone a lot as a kid?
Well, I felt alone as a young adult. What I'm saying is I couldn't come to them as an adult and say, you know, my dad, he had the great song, you know, about how things were. He said, well, we never promised you a rose garden. I said, well, I don't think we saw any roses. No, there was nothing rosy about it. It was pretty well. And my father was absently devoid a lot of time growing up. He let my mother take over, and he just supported her, and so left us for, you know, at whatever her whim was. And she was a very hurt person, so she did a lot of hurting things. So, anything else?
Just any suggestions or?
I think that New Directions is a great place to come and start healing, and I think it's a great place to start, because I think a lot of people are so in the dark and don't have any idea who they are or how they feel, and they don't even know why they feel a certain way, and it's like enlightenment. It helps them see where they're going, where they've been, and it gives them so much, you know. So I'm really, I think it's a wonderful place to start, and it is a start, because I think the healing process kind of goes on most of your life, you know, depending on how damaged you are.
Have you tried other things, therapy or classes? Or?
I've tried a few things, I've actually gone to AA. I found like AA, I think it's a good place to start in a certain way, but it doesn't touch anything on emotions or any kind of things like that. It stays in a very all left brain. Is that right? Left brain, yeah, all left brain. It stays all there. And another thing is, it just sounds like, to me, this is just my opinion, it sounds like a monologue. Everyone's doing a monologue, you don't get any feedback, so you just sit there with it. You know, you just monologue, you know,
yeah.
it doesn't give you an opportunity to change any of your meanings to what you're saying. You're just saying the same rhetoric that your mom told you, you know, and it doesn't.
And then how is ND different from that?
Because ND helps you get in touch with, ND helps you get in touch with your inner child, who that person is. My favorite part is like the visualization, because part of that visualization is very, it's a good way to start opening and accessing who that person is inside, you know, and that's the part I like the best.
Well, you were saying little Troy sounded like he got beat up quite a bit and was beaten down and such, and now you can be there for him, or?
Yeah,
What's your relationship?
yeah, I can embrace him. I don't see anything wrong with him. And he was present. You know, I had to buy, if we speak in those terms, I had to buy everything that my parents said. It wasn't an option.
Yeah.
It wasn't optional. Yes, it wasn't, there was no option about buying it. So I had to buy whatever they said at the time. And it doesn't matter about love either, to me. My parents love me. I know that they love me. It's just that it's a matter of that they, how do you say it? You can only give what you've got. You have. You can't give anything else. If you only can give what you own or have of yourself. You can't give what you don't have. And they didn't have the tools like I have, a lot better tools to deal with things. And they didn't have those tools. And it wasn't present. So.
It's very understanding of you. It's good.
Yeah. Because I have no doubt that my mother loved me
Really?
very much.
You didn't know this and all that?
Sure. Because that was one part of it. You know, there was another side too. And same with my father. It's just that they can't give what they don't have. They can't. They're both very hurt, damaged people themselves.
You sound more at peace with that.
Oh, much more. Yeah, it's much more acceptance. I have acceptance. I see myself very much as a survivor. I survived a lot of different things, and so that's the way I look at it.
Great. Anything else? You got it?
I'm fine.
Okay,
Good. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Good.
Thank you.
Very clear and very good stuff. Good information.
Can I have a hug?
You bet.
Okay.
I can accept that.
I can